Who's your emergency contact? Who should be notified in case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I've spent the last 2+ decades of my life. When I first got arrested, it was in 1998, December 15th, 1998, to be exact. When they first arrested me, they took me down to Salt Lake, downtown Salt Lake. They had to the federal building and drove us underground, took me up to a holding tank, left me there for 30 minutes to an hour, and then the two investigating agents came in and tried to interview me. From the beginning, I told them, "Hey, I'm not speaking to you. Here's my attorney's number. Call my attorney." They fake like they were calling my attorney, saying, "Oh, he's not picking up," this and that, and they kept trying to question me, interrogate me. But again, I just kept repeating the same thing. Now, at this time, I had been to the feds. I just did 2.5 years for possession by a restricted person, possession of a gun by a restricted person. So they gave me 24 months for that. Then I ended up in INS for about 3 months because they were trying to deport me. So when I came home in 98, I got home like a week before May. And by December 15th, I got caught up, and now I'm in the holding tank being interrogated by a couple FBI agents. Well, after they sat me in there for about an hour or so, I told them, "Hey, man, it's time, just take me to jail. I ain't got nothing to say to you." So they left the room for about 30, 40 minutes. They try to make you sweat it out, right? They're trying to do everything they can to break you psychologically, to scare you and all the rest. But for me, I knew what I was doing out here, and I knew that the penitentiary was very highly likely to be in my future. And when the time came, as much as I didn't like it, I accepted it. And mainly they were trying to question me on a couple bodies that were out here. But of course, I refused to cooperate. So when they come back in, they're like, "You ready to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go." So they're like, "Well, there's a couple people that want to meet you before we take you and book you into the jail." Out of curiosity, I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So they walked me into this room, and there's big, long ass rectangle table, and there's about 9 investigating uh, detectives sitting around the table. And so they sat me down. I don't have no handcuffs on, but I got shackles on. So they secure my shackle to the floor. I sit down, they secure my shackle to the floor, and each and every one of them introduce themselves. "Oh, I'm whatever, Detective McKnight. I'm Detective Rosie Rivera. I'm Detective so and so," and on and on. And I'm just like, holy shit! There's 9 of them sitting there. They all got a folder in front of them about this yay high, and they're like, "Well, I'm investigating this attempted murder. I'm investigating this armed robbery. I'm investigating this homicide." And I was just like, "Whoa, what the fuck," right? So, but prior to me getting arrested, they had picked up 3 of my young homies, and they had picked them up the night before, not the night before, but about a week before. But the night before they got picked up, these guys they went home. You know, after we got done hanging out, whatever, they went home in the morning. One of them was his name is Anthony Chetichek. He was supposed to go. He just got out of Glen Mills, which is a juvenile facility that they send all these juvies from all around the country to. I think it's in Pennsylvania, if I'm correct. So, well, he's still on parole or probation, and he's supposed to go to his classes in the morning. But at this time, Things were heating up in the 90s. We were out here gang banging, and my dumb ass was out here doing robberies and all some other goofy shit. So when he didn't show up to class, his probation officer and a couple other officers came in and kicked in their door. And when they kicked in their door, they found straps in his room. So they locked them all up. So, me being still out, we had a homie that worked in the detention center, and we're trying to get word on what's going on and all the rest of it. But unbeknownst to me, that a couple of them was already cooperating. So by the time I got arrested, like I said, there's 9 people, there's 9 detectives sitting around this rectangle table, and they each got a file in front of them, and all of them is telling me, yeah, I'm investigating this case, I'm investigating that case, and so on and so forth. And in my mind, I'm like, oh damn, like every freaking thing that I ever did out here on the street in the last 6 months, these guys are trying to question me for it. So for my sake, for my peace of mind, I'm like, hey man, I'm cool. Take me to the jail. So they take me to the jail, but instead of booking me in Salt Lake County, where I'm from, they took me up north to Davis County, and they booked me into Davis County. They were trying to keep me segregated from everybody else that they were about to arrest, trying to make it look like that I was the one getting everybody else arrested. Like I know the game, I know the trick, so they put me in Davis County. And in Davis County at the time, just a few months prior to me being booked into Davis County, they had a riot in Davis County between the Paisas and the rest of the population. The thing with the Paisas, a lot of them are just farmers. They come through, maybe they're driving dope for the cartels, or they're out here hustling for the cartels or whatever. And for the most part, a lot of them are good people and they're cool. They're just caught up. But once in a while, you get a dude in there that, because he was working for the cartel, he feel like he's somebody, and he ends up trying to incite certain shit, right? So they put me in this pod, and there's about 8, 9 Paisas in the pod. I think maybe there was like 30 of us all together in the pod, right? So, but there's only one TV, right? And every morning, the Paisas, they feel like they control the TV, and they're always putting on caliente, you know, watching some bullshit. All these dudes, when they're locked up, they just want to fiend off these girls on TV. Caliente, if anybody ever watch it, is just like a party. I don't know where they're being, the location varies, but it's just a bunch of girls in bikinis dancing to music and all that stuff. And they would have that shit on that motherfucker all day. So when I get in there, I'm trying to find out what's going on with all the news, but I'm not getting a chance to watch the news because, like I said, they get up and there's like 8 or 9 of them, and they think that they control the fucking unit or whatever, so they go and put that shit on caliente. But at this time, I sit there for a couple days, just doing my little research on who's who's aligned with who. I go into the county jail. I'm by myself, meaning I ain't got nobody out there that's from my hood, and they put me in Davis County. So a lot of those people that's locked up in Davis County are from the Davis County area, Ogden area, and I'm down here from Salt Lake. But when I was there, I made friends with a couple Mexican dudes and a white boy. His name is Randy. He was in there for a bank robbery, and the 2 white boys, they were state cases. They were going up there to go, you know, on their way to prison. So we became cool, and I decided I want to watch the news, right? Because I'm fighting my case. I got a big case. They end up picking up about 15 of my homeboys at the time, So I'm trying to find out what's going on. And so one morning, I get up, I pull, the TV's high, right? The TV's high. I get up, I pull the trash can up, I get up on top of the trash can, and I turn the TV to the news. Come back, sit down, and I'm watching the news. 5 minutes later, a paisa gets up, and he gets on top of the trash can and changes it back to the Spanish station. So, for me, I know what it is, right? We're gonna end up wrecking over this TV. So fuck it. You know what I mean? So the two Mexican dudes, Chicanos, because the paisas don't think that the Mexicans that grew up here are Mexican. They call them plastico, meaning plastic, like fake Mexican or whatever. So everywhere I go, the Chicanos, we just call them Chicanos. They're Mexicans, but they grew up here in America. Them and the paisas, they don't like each other because the paisas don't think they're real Mexicans, and the Chicanos over here just thinks the paisas are a bunch of fucking whatever they think, right? So the paisa gets up there and he turns the TV back to caliente. And I'm looking around. I'm like, all right, this is what's gonna be, right? Because these paisas are thinking they're gonna fucking run the block. So the two Mexican dude and Randy, the white dude, he comes up. He's like, man, what's up? What you doing? Because I didn't tell nobody that I was gonna go up there and change the channel. I just took it upon myself to change the channel because I know the sentiment of the unit that's not paisa. They want to watch the news, right? When we're in the county jail, we stay on the news, update on what's going on. And a lot of us are fighting our cases, and we're going to court every morning. So the news is important to us. So they come over and like, man, what's up, man? What you doing? I said, shit, I'm finna watch the news. He goes, yeah. And before I came into the block, I guess the paisa just turned the TV on to whatever they want to turn the TV on to. Now, in a county jail, the politics is different. In a county jail, it's pretty much every man for themselves. Even there was some white dudes in there and some other races in there. They weren't banding together to be a group, but the paisas were banding together as a group, and they were pushing the line. Like I said, there was like 8 to 10 of them, right? But there's 20 other inmates in there, but all of them are different. All of them are doing their own thing. Some of them are probably fucked up. I've only been there a few days, so there's no unity. Like there's not all the whites are riding together, all the blacks. There was like 2 black dudes in our block, the 2 Chicanos. They had a couple of Sureños and like a handful of white dudes. Being out here in Utah, when you go to the jail, the majority of them is going to be white because the population is majority white. At least it was back then in '98. So they're like, man, what's up? I said, shit, I'm finna get back up on that thing and change it back to the news, right? So they're like, all right, we got your back, you know. And I'm grateful for them because, like, I never sat down and asked them to have my back or anything, but I can see that they were kind of tired, that the biker was just controlling the TV, and that no one else in the block was allowed to watch what they wanted to watch, and all the rest of it. So I grabbed the garbage can, dragged it back under the TV, went back up, and turned the TV back to the news, and stood there. When I came down, I stood there by the garbage can because I know they're gonna come back and try to change the channel again, right? And of course, one of them does. They have this youngster. I mean, he wasn't a youngster. He was probably a little older than me because back then I was only 21, 21 years old, right? So the paisa comes up. I can see him dragging the garbage can to the TV, and he puts the garbage can under the TV. And I look at him. They all play like they don't speak English, right? When there's a confrontation, oh, no, no habla inglés, no habla inglés. But I know they understand English. You know what I mean? And I know they understand what's going on. So I tell them, hey, don't get on that garbage can. Huh? No habla inglés, no habla inglés. I was like, well, go get somebody that speaks English then, motherfucker. And look, so a couple of Pisces, they come out. Some they're just sitting around in front of their cells watching TV. There's a couple of them upstairs, and one of them comes down the stairs that I already know spoke English because I've already had conversation with him in English while I was in there. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Hey, man, what's going on, man?" I'm like, "Hey, homie, we're trying to watch the news. You guys are both guarding this TV on this caliente shit when all of us are here. We're fighting our cases and we're trying to get an update on what's going on. Because at this time, my homies are getting arrested every day. They're picking up new dudes every day for like 2-3 months span, depending on whatever information they're getting and how whatever evidence they're able to go and arrest the homie and detain him. So dude comes up, he's like, I'm watching the news. He's like, I was like, your homie, get up on that cash can. I'm a fucking mob, right? And while I'm talking, the two Chicano dudes, the two youngsters, we're all about the same age, and Randy pull up and they're standing with me, standing behind me. So now all the Paisas, they're all getting up. And so now there's a group of Paisa and then us four, right? But as we're standing there, another white dude named Hot Rod pulls up on us and he was like, man, what's up, man? He goes, shit, we finna get down with these Paisas? I said, I don't know, depends on what they do. So he pulls up and this Sereno pulls up on our side. And they're like, man, whatever, man. Yeah, fuck them, right? So now the Paisa sees that, there's about 10 of them, but now our numbers went up to about 6. And the Paisa sees that, yeah, we finna not sit around while you guys try to bogart this TV anymore. So, hey, so the Paisas go and group up or whatever. And I'm standing there. I'm not letting nobody get on that trash can. Because if they get on that trash can, the move in my mind, I'm gonna kick that trash can from under his feet, and when his ass falls to the ground, I'm just gonna stomp him out, right? So we get into a little powwow. Everybody picks their target. We're like, hey, this is what we need to do, homie. Everybody understand they're, giving everybody assignments, because when you go into a confrontation, if you're half-assing it and don't have a game plan, you might get yourself hurt, especially when you're outnumbered, you know. And so I pick the dudes that I think knows how to fight or whatever. Like I'll take on that because I know how to fight a little bit. I've never been like officially trained or anything, but I grew up fighting and I picked up things here and there. So I know enough not to get my ass whooped, you know. So we're ready. So the Paisa comes back and he's like, hey man, yeah, you guys just watch the news, whatever. Um, but let's just sit down and have a schedule or whatever so we can all get along. There's no reason for us to beef. And for me, I respect that because he came back with some common sense and he came back with something that was respectful. So yeah, we agree to, split the times up between the news and their Caliente and other networks, other programs throughout the day. So in my mind, I'm thinking that the issue is resolved, right? So I push the, I go back, we sit down, and then one of the Paisa comes over, or a few of them comes over and say, hey, but we got issue with this guy, and he's pointing to the one of the Chicano, a youngster. But we're all the same age. We're all like 20, 21. And they're like, hey, my homeboy, he's talking about one of his Paisa homies, like, they want to see him one-on-one. And I'm like, why? Like, you can come and see me. Like, the dude that wants to fight, he can come and fight me. It's like, no, we don't got no problem with you, Chino. They call me Chino, which means Chinese. They just call every Asian Chino. And the dude is the one that got on the trash can to change the TV. And he's always the loudest one in the block, right? So he's like, nah, he wants to fight one of the Chicano dudes that was there. And the dude, the Chicano dude, he's like one of the pretty boys. He got caught up with some dope or whatever. He looks soft. He doesn't look like he's a fighter and all that stuff. So I'm sure that's why they picked him out. right? They're like, well, we. I said, well, what's the problem with him? Why are you beefing with him? I'm the one that changed the channel. Ah, man, my homie don't like him. They just want to head up. So we look at over at the homie. I was like, what's up, man? What you trying to do? He's like, man, fuck that. I go head up with him, right? And I mean, I wish I could remember his name. It's been over 20 something years, right? But like, dude wasn't a gangbanger or anything. Like I say, he was just running around pushing some dope and got caught up. But I give credit when credit's due. Dude had a heart. He's like, man, fuck that. I'll go see him. So they go into the room. Me and a couple of the guys that were siding with me post up on one side of the door. The bicycle post up on another side of the door. And them two went in there and they got it in. They're in there, ping, 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 fighting for about 2 or 3 minutes. The door busts open and the bicycle comes out, right? So when the bicycle comes out, we're thinking that the homie got fucked off because the bicycle come out. But the bicycle came out and he was losing. So he came out of the door to get himself a breather. So we looked in, the homie's still on his feet. So when the bicycle comes out, he goes upstairs and the homie comes in. The homie comes out like, man, you good? I mean, he's got a couple of scratches and marks on his face where he goes, yeah, I'm good. He goes, yeah, I got him. I'm like, all right. So now we're thinking everything is squashed, right? So we head back to the table to sit down, or they take the homie, the Chicano homie, into a room to clean him up because he got a couple scratches and his lip was bleeding a little bit or whatever. So when they get done cleaning up, he comes out to the table to sit with us and we're watching TV. And here comes the Pisces again. And they're like, hey man, do want to see him again? I was like, what? I was like, man, that shit's dead. He's like, nah, man, the dude want to see him again. So we all look at the Chicano homie, like, man, shit, I already whooped him once, I'll whoop him again, right? So they go back in, we post up again, they post up again, and they're duking it out, or whatever. But of course, this time, in every cell, there's an intercom that the COs in the tower, it's a two-way radio that, for emergency, you can hit the panic button and talk to whoever's in the tower. But just like you can push the button to talk to whoever's in the tower, them in the tower can turn on the intercom and hear what's going on in the cell. So on the second time, because, in the new county jail, you got units, 30-band pods, and then there's a bubble in the middle where the control is at. But all the unit are all glass, plexiglass or whatever. So they can see right into the unit. They can see almost every single angle into the unit. But we can't see out because it's a two-way mirror. So by this time, I'm pretty sure somebody in the bubble has already been peeping the shit that's been going on, and they can see that there's some friction in the block. So as they're fighting in the block, our unit door cracks open, and about 20 COs rush in. So when they rush in, we all scatter, beep, because it's busted. So they rush in, calling there, telling everybody lock down, lock down, lock down. So they locked us down, and they go into the cell after they and secure whatever situation. I lived upstairs at this time, so I'm able to look down to the unit and see the CO escorting the Chicano dude out and the Paisa dude out. And they kept us locked down after that for about, 3 or 4 days or whatever before they let us back out of our cell. But the reason I share that story is that, the Paisas out here, even in the penitentiary, they don't like the Mexicans out here. They don't like the ones, what they call Chicanos. And out here in Utah, there's a lot of Paisas. They come out here, they push their dope or whatever, do whatever it is they do. But in the county jail, the majority of them are cool, but you always get one of them that thinks he's somebody and wants to rally up the rest of the troop. The whole time I was in the county jail, later on, which I'll share a story, later. I never allowed more than 4 or 5 of them in my block because I already have experience with them that if they get the numbers, then they're gonna stop being respectful and start trying to bogart shit, right? But the reason I share this story is just, like I said, I wish I knew the homie's name and to give him his props. Like when you looked at him, he didn't look like he could fight. You didn't even think he had any heart, you know. But when the Bison called him out, without hesitation, he got up, went in the cell, and duked it out. And, win or lose, no matter what had happened in that room, whether he got beat up or not, fortunately, he didn't get beat up. But even if he did, that wouldn't have lost any respect from my perspective because the homie got hard and the homie went up and did what he's supposed to do. And that's the things I tell people when they come into the penitentiary. The end result is not as important as how you step up to the plate. You know, even if you're not a fighter, even if you're not a killer, but when somebody disrespects you and somebody calls you out, if people see that you stand up for yourself, they're gonna respect you for that. And having that respect is gonna make your time a lot easier because when people respect you and they see that somebody just on some bullshit trying to pick on you, and they know you're a good dude and that you're gonna stand up for yourself, but maybe the odds is against you. Maybe this dude is way bigger than you, or maybe their group is bigger than your car. But if they know you're a good dude, that you're a man of principle, they're gonna pull up and offer their assistance. I've offered my assistance to people, and I'm grateful for all the other different groups, whether they're Mexicans, blacks, whites. At one time or another, they pulled up on me when they saw me about to be in some type of predicament, pulled up on me and was like, man, what's up? We got you. So to all the real men that are about their business, that stand up for their principles, and that step up to the plate, and much respect. Welcome to the USP.